There are fires raging all across the Southwest this week, at least 21 continuing to burn and more popping up each day. In Arizona, the Goodwin fire forced the town of Mayer about an hour and 15 minutes north of Phoenix to evacuate. The fire is currently only 1% contained, has burned 20,000 acres, and is very close to where 19 hotshots died 4 years ago battling the Yarnell Hill fire. As of this morning, at least 1,400 residents are waiting to return to their homes, and it comes as the weather conditions today are once again perfect to fuel the fire.
I will be honest, it's the worst feeling in my life. I've been through a lot and never have I been this devastated to know that my home may not be there when I get back.
The Brian Head Fire in Utah is the largest wildfire burning in the Southwest. It's raced across almost 50,000 acres, destroyed more than a dozen homes, and is only 10% contained. More than 1,600 firefighters are on the ground trying to up the containment numbers. And in California, the Hill Fire, 200 miles northwest of Los Angeles, has burned nearly 1,600 acres. And TMZ is reporting that Big Bang Theory star Johnny Galecki's ranch burned to the ground Monday night. That fire is now 65% contained, and the biggest problems across the region are the conditions. It's hot, dry, and windy pretty much all across the Southwest.
On the front lines, the West is erupting in flames. Tonight, multiple states declaring an emergency.
Have a fire getting out of control.
In Utah, 305 wildfires already this season.
It's big. We need help.
The Brian Head Fire torching land the size of Washington, D.C. Glenn Suter evacuated, the veteran carrying out his precious American flag.
So it means a lot to me.
With more than 20 major fires burning, it's not just homes on the line, but lives.
With these winds, we never know what's going to happen.
Near Prescott, Arizona, they are fighting flames in the same area where 19 firefighters were killed 4 years ago.
Less people are complaining if their homes are lost because they recognize it's not worth losing anybody's life.
Burning night and day, the firefight is expensive. Each retardant drop from this DC-10 super tanker cost $27,000. In Burbank, California, flames nearly reached million-dollar homes. 105 firefighters jumping into battle within minutes. Firefighters would rather spend $1 million responding to a blaze than tens of millions of dollars after it gets out of control. This just a taste of what's to come. Tonight, it's heating up across the West. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News, Burbank.
More people are being forced to leave their homes as wildfires burn across the West. Hundreds of firefighters battled flames overnight in San Clemente, California. A state of emergency was declared in Prescott, Arizona. A fire there has burned more than 20,000 acres. This morning, there are at least 35 wildfires burning across the West. Jamie Yukas is in Burbank, California, where hundreds of people were evacuated yesterday. Jamie, good morning.
Good morning, Gail. The people in this neighborhood were so lucky. If you take a look at where I am right now, I'm just 15 steps from where this homeowner's backyard starts to where the fire stopped. Now, what's happening here in Southern California is that after years of drought, there's new vegetation on top of all of this dry brush. So if a fire starts and firefighters don't get here in enough time, the flames will consume everything in its path.
This firefight, very active, and these homes still under extreme danger.
Intense flames and thick smoke surrounded million-dollar homes in Burbank, California Wednesday afternoon. The fire shot up the hills, igniting dry grass and burning brush.
Those firefighters that are in those backyards, they're dealing with that heavy smoke and that wind being created from this fire.
Firefighting helicopters flew close to the ground, dropping gallons of water in an attempt to corral the flames.
Even though it had been a wet winter here in the Los Angeles area, they were in a drought for the last 5 years. So you have new vegetation because it was wet on top of dry vegetation.
It started coming up the hill pretty quick.
We're going to have to back up.
Gavin Caruso's grandparents have lived in the Burbank Hills for 30 years.
I ran back here and started fighting with a hose.
How soon until the firefighters got here?
The fire was actually about 10 feet down that way before they came up and told us to leave. Oh, God, it's coming fast.
It has been a tough year for a hot and dry western U.S. that is prone to wildfires. In Arizona, more than 32 square miles are burning north of Phoenix, forcing thousands from their homes.
We moved here about 3 years ago and found a beautiful home.
Trisha Zulambo had 30 minutes to grab what she could and get out.
I'm very worried about it. Extremely. I had to leave a lot of possessions behind.
Firefighters left hoses all over the hills here. We have seen hot spots pop back up this morning. We know there are 2 engines on site to make sure they put out those hot spots if they flare back up. But the problem going into the weekend now is that winds are expected to get high. So some areas of Los Angeles are going from high fire danger to very high, David.
Jamie, thank you.
Firefighters in southern Utah are battling an unprecedented wildfire for this time of year. The Bryan Head fire has burned at least 13 homes. It covers more than 71 square miles. That is larger than Washington, D.C. The fire is one of dozens burning across the West. The region continues to suffer from a heat wave. Jamie Yukas is at a command center in Panguitch, Utah. Jamie, good morning.
Good morning, Charlie. Firefighters, 1,400 of them, are doing everything in their power to try to get this fire under control. They're even using bulldozers to try to draw fire lines around the worst part of this blaze. But right now, the fire is only 9% contained. That's because on Monday, they faced severe weather conditions like low humidity, high winds, and extreme heat. That forced more evacuations to the north of this fire. Today, the weather should be a little bit better, but many are worried it just can't contend with this extreme fire season.
Officials say they've never seen anything like this, a wind-fueled fire covering so much ground so quickly, so early in the fire season.
What's the worst case scenario with this fire?
The worst case scenario is if the weather conditions continue just as they are, and that's very windy.
Fire Information Officer David Aker says red flag warnings are in place for the next few days, meaning the dangerous fire conditions will continue.
It's been a wind-driven fire from the very beginning. Winds up to 30 miles an hour, gusts even higher than that. And when wind is pushing a fire at that kind of speed, it's very difficult to get out in front of it for the firefighters.
More than 1,500 people in the fire's path have been forced to evacuate.
I just don't want anybody to get hurt. And if the cabin burns, we'll deal with it and rebuild it, but you can't replace a life.
Firefighters in the West are also battling the heat. Temperatures hit the mid-90s in Prescott, Arizona, near a fire that's burned 1,500 acres. And in Southern California, the mercury hit close to 100 degrees when a wildfire broke out west of Palm Springs. It quickly consumed 5,000 acres, closing down a highway and prompting an evacuation warning for 2 mountain communities. Meanwhile, firefighters here in Utah don't expect to contain this fire until mid-July.
Now, this is unusual because it's so early in the season.
It is. Normally, this kind of fire in this area would probably be more like in August. So it's pretty unprecedented for this time of year to see this kind of fire activity and behavior.
This fire began by someone using a blowtorch to burn weeds. We don't know who that person is or if they'll face any charges. So far, the cost to fight this fire is at $7 million, Nora.
All right, Jamie, thank you so much.
Emergency tonight as flames spread to fear. Thousands evacuated, many not knowing if their homes are going to make it through the night as the Goodwin fire rages on. 21,000 acres and growing, nearly the size of all of Tempe. Steve Irvin anchoring our coverage from Dewey for us tonight. And Steve, every hour is critical right now.
Indeed it is, Katie, and we want to start with some good news tonight. The winds have calmed, the temperatures have cooled, the weather far more cooperative now than it was just a few hours ago, and we hope at least that's allowing firefighters to get some sort of upper hand on this blaze. The smoke plume has died down considerably as well, and we're not seeing the haze and the ash that we saw earlier in the day. But for most of the day, this was a very active firefight and a fire that was exploding in size. We want to get some new video just in from the Forest Service, just showing you how intense this firefight was. It is 21,000 acres right now. That's a number from this morning. 652 firefighters are on the lines battling it, and still just listed at 1% containment. So we expect those numbers to go up, especially when we get a briefing sometime tomorrow morning, and we're expecting to know exactly where this fire is and just how close it is to threatening some of these communities like Mayer and Dewey just under an evacuation order today. So we're hoping at least that the 150 firefighters that are on the lines tonight are able to make some progress and do some backburning operations and begin to build those boundaries and those containment areas for this fire.
My number one priority is to make sure that the Goodwin fire is contained and put out as soon as possible. Say a prayer for our firefighters because it's not over yet.
Progress, promise, but still a problem. As we approach one of the busiest travel holidays of the year, firefighters are trying to make sure some of our state's most popular destinations can even stay open. Those evacuated from Mayer allowed back home tonight, but others not so lucky. Steve Irvin anchoring our wildfire coverage for us from Prescott Valley. And Steve, we are not by any means out of the woods just yet.
No, certainly not, Katie. Certainly we have gotten a lot of good news today and a lot of progress on this fire, but there are still homes threatened. There are still hundreds of people who will remain under evacuation, and we know that this fire continues to threaten a number of communities out there. So let's start with some of the latest numbers. We know we've lost some structures. People at a community meeting tonight were told 3 homes had been lost. Officially, we're at 4 or 5 structures, and emergency operations officials in Yavapai County telling me tonight it's really just too dangerous to get people in to determine just exactly what has burned, especially in the Breezy Pines and Pine Flat areas. This fire now is 43% contained. Keep in mind a lot of that containment still is on the southwest and south sides of the fire. The real battle is on the north and northeast sides of the fire, where the winds are really pushing those flames. There's still a lot of active fire in those areas tonight, and firefighters, even as we speak, are trying to get it under control. Officially, this stands at 24,828 acres, just under 25,000. That's much more moderate growth than we saw just yesterday when the fire quadrupled in size. There are a number of power outages, and APS is working around the clock, and the cause of this fire is still not known.
No, que no pase. Va a empujar el coche. No, ¿qué es eso?
La tromba que cayó la tarde de ayer en la Ciudad de México y zona conurbada dejó por lo menos 130 viviendas afectadas y decenas de vehículos varados. En el fraccionamiento Rivera de Chegaray, en Naucalpan, Estado de México, el agua que desbordó de los diques inundó amplias zonas. En algunos puntos rebasó el 1,5 metros de altura y dejó cuantiosos daños. Elementos de la Policía Municipal de Naucalpan ayudaron a los vecinos a retirar el agua y lodo de las viviendas.
Тайга горит практически во всех районах. Дымом заволокло значительную часть региона. По последним данным, площадь лесных пожаров составляет 142 тысячи гектаров. В Ваендаевском районе на помощь лесхозам пришли военные. Совместными силами локализовали крупный пожар, который бушевал почти неделю.
И вначале у нас сводки о ситуации с лесными пожарами в Сибири. Авиация и лесоохраны тушат огонь на площади в 70 тысяч гектаров. Задействовано 4 тысячи человек, 800 единиц наземной техники и 20 воздушных судов. Помощь пожарным парашютистам оказывают десантники из соседних регионов. За сутки группировка ликвидировала 56 возгораний на площади около 15 тысяч гектаров. В Красноярском крае сегодня наконец-то пошли дожди, жара спала, бороться с огнем стало легче. В Иркутской области армейские вертолеты Ми-8 и специалисты оборонлеса тушат крупный таежный пожар в Приангарье. Авиаамфибии МЧС сбрасывают тонны воды на горящие леса Забайкалья. Наступление огня в сторону населенных пунктов пока удается не допустить. Режим ЧС сохраняется и в Бурятии. Репортаж нашего специального корреспондента Алексея Казанникова.
Алло. МЧС скажут, средний средства срываться быстро. Давай, давай. I will go and he wants to see me English everything. I'm not going to go around. أسود برجع داخل الموضوع. حتى دلوقتي بقدر.
ده اتعمل اخوخ
Nazigliau už latas, nazi. Блядь, عبيتهم يا حاج لحظة نجي. أو يا الله.
يا الشيء ده بقول والله تا مش سقمو سوتوا قصدي عشوار. يا الله ديال وقالوا سكوك أحش. سبحان الله. سبحان الله وش بقول لك الله أنور الله فيه. يا
Now, the Russian capital was hit by a powerful thunderstorm on Friday, causing traffic chaos and flooding. Portable toilets near Red Square, some of them with people inside, were even swept away by the high winds. The downpour lasted as long as 6 hours, and by some estimates it was the most powerful to hit Moscow in more than half a century. 2 people were killed, one by lightning and another by a falling tree. A further 9 people were injured in a series of incidents across the capital and surrounding region. And at the city's airports, hundreds of flights were delayed by lightning and flooding.
Al carrer de casa.
Ja, wie gesagt, im Moment sind viele Keller unter Wasser, sind alle Feuerwehren im Landkreis Oberhausen unterwegs. Schwerpunktmäßig haben wir, wie gesagt, Keller unter Wasser, Straßen, alles vollgelaufen. Wir wissen nicht mehr, wo wir hin sollen, aber wie gesagt, wir versuchen unser Bestes.
Ja, aber ich weiß ja nicht, wo ist hier der Bürgersteig? Verstehst du, ich fahre jetzt gleich runter. Ich jetzt bloß nicht das Handy fallen lassen. Hilfe! Wir müssen da rüber, Susanne. Ey, außer dem Zustand. Außer dem Zustand ist total geil. Party! Oh mein Gott! Ja, Maggie! Oh Gott! Voll eine geile Folge! Darf ich jetzt dann rüber oder nicht? Ich muss aber da lang.
You are watching News X this Wednesday morning. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. Our top focus, Tamil Nadu is staring at the worst water crisis in 140 years. Yes, 4 reservoirs in Chennai are running dry, signaling worrying times ahead. Metro Water is expected to reduce water supply from 500 MLD to 420 MLD per litre. Drinking water supply has already been slashed to Chennai by nearly 50%. Authorities are tapping other resources like groundwater to pump water to Chennai. The opposition DMK has slammed the centre for the alarming situation as the crisis deepens. News X gets you a ground report.
The United Nations Development Program says temperatures in South Sudan has risen by more than 1 degree Celsius since 1980, warming that is 2.5 times greater than the average rise produced by global warming. The world body warns this is adding to a situation of food insecurity in a country where the population depends on rain-fed subsistence agriculture.
Some of the impacts of climate change and degradation on environment are already felt in terms of food production, but also in terms of affecting people's livelihood. Their coping mechanism, their living conditions are becoming more and more difficult.
Experts say little attention is being paid to environmental degradation in the country since the current armed conflict is drawing all attention. But Juba says it's working to put in place laws that will protect the environment.
Climate change adaptation will be an integral part of the development strategy and will be mainstream across the different sectors. The development strategy document will be completed by December 2017.
South Sudan has recently experienced both floods and drought in parts of the country, and as a result, many farmers didn't harvest, something the government says has resulted in part in recent food shortages. Economic hardship and harsh weather conditions has pushed many here to cut down trees to make charcoal or burn bush in hope that new grass will grow. Environmental experts say people need to be educated about looking after their environment, or South Sudan will continue to experience food insecurity. Patrick Koyet, CGTN, Juba, South Sudan.